Hey, it's Em here, and I want to bring you along on a little cooking adventure that I'm doing where I'm making a dish that has like a chicken-like vibe, but using cauliflower. If you've seen a previous cooking video that I did, I am not a I mentioned that I'm not a vegetarian, but I do like vegetarian foods, a lot of vegan foods and things like that, and I do I do incorporate those as I feel inspired. So feel free to follow me along as I make this dish. This is literally one of my latest obsessions. I feel like I change food obsessions very often, but right now I'm stuck on this. So I'll bring you along with me. Okay, so I somewhat washed my cauliflower. So right now my next step is just to cut it into pieces. I'm going to take the bread, I'm going to toast it and make my own breadcrumbs, because I have found that yes, it's not necessary to buy breadcrumbs. It's pretty easy for me to just buy some of the cheap bread from Aldi and use that and make my own. So I'll show you how I do that as well. Okay. So here, just cutting up into the size that I prefer. I think some people might like their cauliflower chunks a little bigger, but I really value the batter that's used on as an outside coating. I like that, so I want to use smaller pieces, but I really think it's just up to preference. Out here to work with, because I have so much, when I start to do the mixing, I'm going to put them into two separate bowls. I'm going to take half of it and put it into this bowl. It'll just make it a lot easier for me to mix the batter and all that kind of stuff in with it. Goodness gracious. Something else that I always forget is to set the oven. So the oven for this recipe has to be set at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that's something I always forget to do, or I often forget to do, is set the oven before I cook, so then I don't have this long waiting period like, okay, I'm ready, I have all this stuff prepared, but the oven's not ready for me. So that's something I have to remember. Okay, while I am waiting on the oven to heat up and I'm waiting for my breadcrumbs, or my bread for my breadcrumbs to be ready, I wanted to show you how I'm going to make the batter. So I'm going to take this cauliflower, I'm going to add in half a cup of whole wheat flour. I just like whole wheat flour. I use it in most things that require flour that I make. I like to use it. Again, I don't consider myself to be a healthy eater, but when I have the opportunity to throw something healthy in it, something like fibrous and things like that, I like to do that. When I add seasoning, usually I would go in here in the spice cabinet and I get like a bunch of different seasonings and stuff like that. But I found this at Aldi. It's a garlic and herb seasoning, and it comes with like so many different flavors. So like seasonings, garlic, onion, black pepper, fennel, parsley, basil, bay leaf, marjoram, thyme, cayenne pepper, cumin. It has so many different things in here. I find that if I just add an excessive amount of this, I'm good to go. Something I forgot to mention was that I need to add water to this, or almond milk. And I'm usually a mess when I cook, so if you just see stuff go everywhere, it's usually it's a massive cleanup for me most of the time. Or half a cup of almond milk in each. So I like to just pour on that seasoning like the world is gonna end. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. So this happens to be the bread that I use to help make my breadcrumb coating for this dish. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take about 4 slices, and I'm taking 4 slices and put them in the toaster. But so the toast is done, and I usually like for the toast to be like pretty burnt in order to have the kind of like toasted flavor that I like. And then I'm just going to repeat with this other bread. I already have my basil ready to go. Break up that bread again. Again, my place is getting so messy. I feel like if I was a professional chef, this would be horrifying. Actually, put it on the thing. You see, all this from just one session of baking. You're my witness, it didn't look like this at first. I got this. or I could add just more of this, just to give it just more flavor. So now this is going to be blended up as well. Another round of breadcrumbs are ready to go, and I have now newly decorated my arm. So I'm just going to pour that directly into this. Okay. I'm the messiest chef. I'm not a chef, but I'm the messiest person there ever was when it comes to baking. So now that these are done, or now that these have their breadcrumbs, I'm just going to stir this up. And again, the only reason I did that in 2 rounds was just because the Ninja that I use is a very small one. It's meant for like one size smoothies and things like that. So I'm just going to stir that up in here. Get all oiled up. I think we're good to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm literally just going to dump all this onto here. It's all ready. If I have extra breadcrumbs. Okay, these are going to go in the oven for technically, I would say between 25 and 30 minutes. So I'm going to start off by putting them in for about 20 minutes. I'm going to see how they're looking, see if they're cooking well. I can stir them up and shake them around if I want to, but this is what they look like, just so you can see what they look like before they go in the oven. Yep. So what I want to do now is I want to make something that I'm going to call like an everything sauce. And the reason I'm calling it like an everything sauce is because I like to take the base of this sauce and mix it with some of my favorite things, like depending on what I'm feeling for the day. So I'm going to show you how I make that. It's technically a vegan cream cheese recipe that I found on Pinterest. But I like it because it has like a tangy kind of taste to it. That goes well, like if I wanted to add, for example, Siracha to it, it can kind of turn into something a little different. If I want to add like a barbecue flavoring, I can work with that. There is another sauce that I use with this particular batter that would make it taste like an orange chicken. If you're interested in seeing how I make that sauce, please leave a comment below and I'll show you me making the sauce so you can see what that's like. So the reason the kettle's on right now is A, I want some tea, and B, I needed to soften cashews. So cashews are the base in a lot of the sauces, the vegan sauces that I use, or vegetarian sauces that I make. Well, I guess if it's cream cheese, it's not really a sauce, but that's kind of how I use it. I'm not fancy, so I'm just going to use this mug to put the cashews in so they can soak in some hot water. So that's about a cup. Just half a cup more. Half a cup more. Half the cashews. I feel like the water is now hot enough. So I'm just going to, I'm just going to take just enough of the hot water to cover the cashews. And they're just going to sit in there for about 10 minutes. I think vegetables do a better job of soaking up flavor. I just think that that's just how it is. And as somebody, I consider myself to be a foodie. Flavor is very important to me, and I just I feel like a much lighter feeling if I have a vegetarian dish than if I go and have like a dish with meat in it. Man, that's just, so it's kind of like that. It's not really a deep reason why I don't like it. I don't need it. I don't need meat, and yeah, I'm fine without it. Okay, the cashews have now soaked for the appropriate amount of time. So what I'm gonna do now is I am going to pour out the water that's in here, there. Make sure I got all of it. And then, it's in here, I'm gonna add about 1/3 a cup of water into here. And then, that is the, I gotta check on the cauliflower. They could use a little bit more time. I'm gonna leave them in for about I'm gonna leave them in for 7 more minutes. And I think that should be more than enough time. So, and then while I'm waiting for that to be done, I can move on to continuing my cashews. So let's go back to that. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then 1 tablespoon of ACV, apple cider vinegar. So now that that's done, I'm gonna add in, now again, like for most people, I'm sure you're gonna want to measure, I would add in about a half a teaspoon of salt. And again, like right now, just for time and so I don't have to clean as much, I'm gonna just use the measure with my hands. But that's how much should be added. So now this is gonna go in to be blended, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like. Okay, I do believe that this is now adequately blended. So this is what the mix looks like now. I'm gonna show you the inside look. It's very smooth. You can even see from the top. It's a very smooth mix. So again, like I used this originally when I was looking for a vegan cream cheese recipe when I ran out of regular cream cheese. And I actually really like it. And I also like to mix it with other things. I have some that I've already prepped this week. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I think I made it like maybe 4 days ago. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and I'm going to show you how I like to kind of play with its flavor. Okay, so this is one that I made earlier this week. This is what it ends up looking like. I'm going to give you an idea of what the texture is like after it's been refrigerated. Right now, this is still going to be kind of, it's going to be a little bit loose, but it does get a better texture after it's been in the fridge. So you see, like it really holds, it holds up nicely. Now what I've done this week, actually, I wanted the tangy flavor of this, but I also wanted the flavor of barbecue sauce. So what I did was I took I actually really like this particular barbecue sauce, but really I only had just a little bit. I would say I had like a teaspoon of this to like 2 tablespoons of this, mixed it up, and it still had like an undertone of barbecue flavor, but I loved this flavor to dip the cauliflower in, and it really worked together well. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of Siracha mayo to taste into the cauliflower dip. And for me, I don't know, it's just something about this combo that really works. So yes, that's what I'm about to have right now. And I'll show you, I'll do a live taste test so you can see my real reaction. There's some things that can't be hidden. The cauliflower is now ready. Let me show you. Ooh. All right, so it's looking good, y'all. Look at that. Check that out. All right, so while that's cooling, I'm going to finish making my mix, and then we will be all set. It's time for a live taste test. So I'm gonna grab my plate, piece of cauliflower, got the little dip in the sauce. I actually could have gone stronger. I could have gone stronger on the Siracha mayo if I wanted to, and it would have been just as good. But these are set to go. Let me know if you have any questions about this recipe. It's seriously one of my new obsessions. Like, I think I've had this for the last couple weeks with I think I've had it with my lunch. And sometimes I serve it on rice. If I add the orange sauce, I'll serve it with rice. But with the Siracha mayo and everything, I like to just eat this alone, and then I usually have like some carbs on the side of some kind. I'm not about to have this much of a low carb dish. But thank you for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions about this recipe. Yeah, please let me know if you have any questions about this recipe, and I'd be happy to answer them. So in the meantime, until I talk with you next week, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye for now.